right, good evening, everyone. As you probably could tell by looking at me, I was the person who was going to come up and talk about video games. But excuse the setup here. I decided to do my slideshow a little differently. I have it running off software that I coded for the Nintendo. And as you can see, I'm going to be talking about low-bit visual art and music, and a little bit about myself. And we're going to get this started. So I use the name No Carrier. My actual name is Don Miller. I live and work right here in Philly as an educator during the day. And at night, I use low-bit hardware to create live visuals and installation pieces. So what does that really mean? Low-bit hardware, like 8-bit stuff, like the Nintendo you see here, also Commodore 64. I do live visuals for chip music events, and also been lucky enough to do some installations at galleries and art shows. And why low-bit is a question I hear a lot. Well, I like working with limitations, the restrictions. I'm also interested in the reusing of old hardware and learning about how it works. And finally, street cred. Actually, there are people, places that value this. I've worked with Alex Maurer, a local chiptune musician, to create the first albums put out on carts. I create monthly invites in the form of software for a party in New York called Pulsewave. And I perform a talk around the US and recently overseas, as you can see by the question mark. I still don't believe it. Coming up with an art card on 8-Bit People is a local net label, and it'll be a collection of visual art and music. 15 artists from around the world will be involved. It'll be available for download free on the internet or for purchase on actual carts. And how this all started was a demo scene, which is a computer art subculture in the 1980s, and it focused on audio-visual demos running in real time, showed off artistic and programming skill. This is really the basis for what I'm doing and many others today. Visual artists work with limitations to create impressive graphics and motion. Musicians created chip music, named after the unique sounds that came from the sound chips in these old computers and video game consoles. And wait, that's the same one. It all looks the same. Yearly competitions and conventions were created to highlight this scene. Demos still exist today, and the emphasis is still placed on the restrictions and real-time effects. So that street cred comes in. I try to keep it true to what people did in the 1980s. And eventually demos appeared on most major computer systems and video game consoles, and the music took on a life of its own and spread to its own genre, known as chip music, and has really been severed from the demos and gained popularity in its own right. Today, a growing number of musicians are creating chip music. Many of them have taken the aesthetic of the demo scene and old game music and really made it something their own, and people are taking notice, and it's getting closer to the mainstream, and that's a good thing. What's happening today, meaning right now, currently in this scene, musicians use a large number of computers and consoles. Game Boys allow you to compose on the go. NESs have MIDI interfaces that people have made. Some people still use the C64 for the classic sounds they enjoyed in the 1980s. Visual artists are catching up. I use the NES for hard and software. People use Game Boys and handhelds. They're more powerful, actually. All right, and there's a worldwide network of fans and artists, not just Europe now where the demo scene started, but Japan, North America, South America, everywhere, and it's great to work and meet these people on the internet and occasionally in real life. 8-Bit Peoples is a big force here in the US. They're located in New York City. And there's a number of Philly musicians as well, and other artists. Alex Maurer, Cheap Dinosaurs, is playing right now in Exciting Headquarters, and Animal Style, who I'm playing with next week at the Khyber. Pulsewave, though, is the chiptune monthly party. If you're interested in this, if it makes any sense at all, look it up. It showcases artists from around the world. Midwest, though, and West Coast scenes have been putting on regular parties that are also gaining popularity very recently. What's next? I'm really excited for the future of the scene. And a friend of mine, Rich, said this. This is an interesting time for chip music. It's like 1976 for punk. We're on the edge of something crazy. And I agree with that, and I saved that from a chat log so I could use it here. Blip Festival 2006 set the bar, really, for a big chip event. Blip 2007 blew it away. Two Player Productions made a movie about the Blip Festival that premiered this year at South by Southwest. So obviously people are taking notice of this scene. After last year's Blip, which was well covered, message boards exploded. Social networking sites like MySpace have 16-year-olds now making this type of music, which is the true test of popularity. And new net labels appear all the time. And however, growing concern though, much of this music is given away for free, and many unscrupulous artists, some like Timbaland and Crystal Castles, have been sampling or stealing chip music. So it's important that in the future, Creative Commons and copyright is not forgotten, because it's a growing scene and we've seen some growing theft. So to end on kind of a sad note, not everything is happy in Nintendo land. Well, not all the way, but I really appreciate you listening to this. I know it's like a breakneck pace, but if you're interested, please go to my website. You can email me so you don't have to hear my voice anymore. You can go to 8-Bit Peoples if you want to download good free music, and last, 8-Bit Collective if you want to see those aforementioned 16-year-olds arguing about the best type of chip music. Thank you very much, everyone.